Someone writes, my friend's son was born at 30 weeks with a rare skin condition. Babies with this skin condition usually die within the first days to first month of life. My friend has chosen to spend tens of thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars on medical treatment for her baby in hopes he will live. While I think about her decision to fight for her son's life is admirable, is it ever appropriate not to fight for the life of a new baby? If it wasn't for modern medicine, babies like this would die tragically, but naturally die instead of going through weeks of suffering only to die or have an incredibly poor quality of life. As Christians, can't we also embrace death with hope rather than always avoid death? Well, life and death questions are very difficult to answer because everybody's circumstance is different. I remember years ago when I was faced with this for the very first time as a young pastor, a young girl in our church, 18 months old, was taken to the hospital with a routine infection. And the infection became septic and went through her system, and she slipped into a coma and was dying right before our very eyes. They put her on the machines and the tubes and all the other stuff that you see that you wonder how in the world a baby is ever going to survive something like that. And the parents struggled with whether or not they had to allow the process to run its course and to allow her to die, or to use artificial means to keep her alive. It's a tough questions to answer. And they turned to me as a very young pastor and asked me what I thought. And I remember I went to school with the man. He and I went to seminary together. His father became the Surgeon General of the United States, Dr. C. Everett Koop. And I had access to him, and I called him. I can't remember what time it was, but it was kind of late at night. I called him on the phone, and I said, I don't know what to tell these people. I knew he was a pro-life advocate, and I knew he would give me wise counsel. And he made a statement to me at the time that really just made sense, and it helped to shape my understanding of these life and death questions for years to come. He said, there is a vast difference between prolonging someone's life and prolonging someone's death. It's when we get to the point where we are prolonging their death because we're just not willing to accept it, that we have to enter into another sphere of understanding and allow the person to die. Well, it's not that easy when you're on the receiving end, when your child is the one that's dying. And so we did all of the tests, found out that the brain waves were flatlined, that her brain was basically dead. And that's when we knew that even though the heart was pumping because a machine was pumping it, she had already died. And so the decision was made to remove her from artificial means, and she died physically and immediately right there in front of our very eyes. Well, some people have resources. Some people fly all over the world to try to save a loved one's life. And I think it's very difficult for us to sit and condemn them for that sort of action. If they have the means to do so, and there's hope out there somewhere, and they're not simply prolonging the child's death, then I say that they should go for it. They should do everything in their power to make sure that they have tried everything possible to keep that person alive. But if it's simply a matter of prolonging death, and that's where the medical community and family and friends and pastors and counselors need to be gathered around and ask the question, are we really prolonging life or are we prolonging death? And then we can make an intelligent decision. Well, I'm Dr. Chuck Betters, and we have this opportunity to share these kinds of things with you regularly. If you visit markinc.org, you will find that we have some resources from real people who have experienced something very similar to what this questioner is asking. And I hope that you will be blessed and encouraged, and that you will encourage others who maybe are going through this to pick up our resources so that we might be able to give them some help that goes beyond a couple of minutes here on this broadcast. May God bless you, and I hope this helps.